Okay, delighted to welcome our guest presenter today. And if everybody would like to go on mute, I'd appreciate that so that Amit won't pick up any background sound. And our guest speaker today is Amit Wadhwa, who's going to talk about creating SEO-friendly content. And I suppose while creating content, you wonder how search engines would perceive and rank your content. Search engine algorithms are looking for signals from our content to rank it better and help our content reach a wider audience. So if you'd like to know more on how to alter content with SEO signals in mind, this introductory presentation is perfect for you. So without saying further ado, off to you, Amit.
Thank you, Alec, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me, to all of you. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I do have a second monitor here with my notes, so if I'm looking away, apologies. And two, please note your nearest emergency exit, just in case you want to leave the room, because this is a bit too much. I have mine to my left and one behind me. So, and I'll get started with SEO-friendly content. The purpose of doing this short presentation is not to talk about SEO techniques or on-page or off-page as the various terms you might have heard. It is to show you what you can keep in mind when you're thinking about content for your website, whether it's blog articles, pages, or service pages, or anything like that. The reason for that is that if you bring in anybody to do your SEO, traditional SEO, they don't really know your business and they can't write as well as you can. So if you can build a couple of small habits into your content writing schedules, you will reap the rewards from it down the road. So keeping that in mind, I'd like to get started by clicking on the correct window. So why is it hard to write SEO-friendly content? Primarily, it's not difficult to write content because we all know our businesses. It is difficult to maybe make it SEO-friendly because the internet is a very, very competitive space, and we are trying to compete with lots of people, smaller businesses, larger businesses, who are pushing out their content, whether it be through paid advertising or organic SEO, and you're trying to make yourself heard in that sea of voices. So it can be challenging. But as I said, 2 or 3 small habits, if you can change, it'll make a good bit of difference. What are the challenges? So I came up with this: content is king for the online world. And then I needed to make a connection between king and people. So kings rule people and people consume your content. So you end up going around a full circle. And to stay on that spinning disc, you do have to, change your habits and keep a lot of things in mind. So what are we going to do today? What type of content I should create? Introduction to keywords and how to write for SEO. And I'm going to try and keep it short, but at the end I have a link for a consultation, but for the first hour is free. So feel free to get in touch with me if you want to talk in further detail. So what is search engine optimization? There's the definition, but essentially it's a set of signals that we can control that help search engines rank our content on the web. These signals are a mix of technical and non-technical and content-based. So some of which you can easily control, and we focus on those today. What should your content do for your audience? It should hit 3 sweet spots. It should add value or enhance your readers' lives. It doesn't need to be original because there's 7.5 billion of us, and not everybody will come up with original content. And from a technical perspective, it should have a main focal point. So what do those 3 things mean? We all have audience groups, target audiences, our business network. So it should help them in some way. The search algorithms are increasingly trying to behave like humans. So especially with the advent and introduction of AI based ranking, that when search engine robots scan through your article, they try to look for signals just the same way as we would. We would scan through the article. If it's useful, we'll read all of it. If it's extra useful, we'll share it. And if it's absolutely and utterly wonderful article, we will even leave a comment. And those are the signals that search engines pick up on. Why does it not need to be original? Because we all have our little networks that we can appeal to and grow within that zone. And you need to show that you're an expert in the subject matter. Why should it have a main focus? Again, it's a signal. It helps search engine algorithms create libraries of articles and see how you rank for those factors within that sector. So we'll move to some technical terms that wouldn't be, presentation wouldn't be complete without them. Keywords and meta, and very descriptively, stuff. What are keywords? Keywords are essentially signals. They, as I said, they help the algorithms rank, classify and create context for an article. So what should you be doing regarding keywords? Every page, blog article, and every page on your website is unique. So if you have 6 services listed on your website, you should have 6 pages, because you can have one focal keyword per page. And try to keep them unique. But this can be challenging because some of your web page content will overlap with your web blog content. So you have to get a little creative. You can formulate keywords as questions, or you can formulate questions as keywords, rather, apologies. So your web page can be, let's say you're writing about service business mentoring. Business mentoring would be a perfectly valid keyword for that page. Then you're writing blog articles or pushing out case studies, which are related to business mentoring, but you can differentiate by saying, how do I do business mentoring? Or how did I help company A with business mentoring, or something like that. So you're keeping the soul of that article as business mentoring, but your keyword is a little bit different. So what is metadata? Technically, it's data about data, effectively. So in this sentence, the second data is your web page, your web article, your blog, your service content, whatever product page, whatever it is that you're putting up on the website. And any extra data that you put in about that content, search engines read that as metadata. So this is where I was saying that you know your business best, so you're well placed at writing that metadata. What is the metadata? Focal keyword is one of them. The other one is meta description. What is a meta description? So when you go to Google and type in any search query, the snippet that you see, snippet is another term you'll hear, that is your meta description. And you can write that, you can use that to create context, you can use that to create effective signals for search engine algorithms to tell you. It's limited to 156 characters, including spaces, special characters. So use that the best way you can. I have advised people, you know, certainly for product pages, maybe put in a contact number. For product, for service pages, maybe put in an email address, a generic one for the company where people can get in touch with you. Because if somebody is searching for a service and they see your company's name, they may not necessarily visit your page, but if there's a contact detail, they'll go, I know that company, I'll just email them, I've got the information. So you can make it really effective. And what that does is the more people that visit your website, the higher the ranking becomes. So be creative with that 156 character limit and utilize it, so that when people and search engines read it, they get a lot of information about the other 2,000 words or 300 words or 600 words that are in the web page itself. What to avoid? There's a few things that people should avoid. And one that I haven't written in there, but I cannot stress enough, is avoid writing for search engines. And you might ask me, what on earth do you mean by that? I've talked to many people through the course of my career where people are going, but I have all this content, and it's written for search engines. But then when you read the content, it adds nothing to my life. It makes no sense to me. Or they may place it out of context on the website and stuff. So just because you've authored or written or got somebody to write content for you, don't just put it there because you think it'll be good for SEO. because one of the biggest signals that search engine will look at is how people are interacting with your website. And as that starts dropping, your rankings will drop. So avoid excessive use of keywords in the content. Write for people and do some digital marketing, do your social media, post out on LinkedIn, share it with people, tell people to share it. Roll that into your more digital marketing activities rather than just relying on SEO then. And don't overcomplicate things. Keep it nice and simple. Always think, look, if I were reading this article or this web page or this service page content, would it make any sense to me? And you will find the answer. And the key is to focus away from robots and trying to write for a ranking. That kind of contradicts what I've been saying, but it makes writing easier, it makes reading easier, and then it does improve your SEO in the long run. And if you have multiple services, multiple things that you want to tell your audience group, just make sure you use different web pages for each of them, primarily because each page can then allow you to have focal points. Why do we need those focal points? I mean, look, the answer is in the expansion of www. It's a World Wide Web. So you need to create a web of content that you own, that is effective. And essentially you try to trap your audience into that web so they keep reading your content. And you connect with other little webs in your network. You reference other articles, you give credit to other people from where you may have learned. And that all ends up giving you ranking points with Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, whatever other search engines there are. So that's what I mean by not overcomplicating things. Just concentrate on presenting our content in a very engaging way, and things will take care of themselves. Couple of quick tips. If you want to come up with what are the most popular things that people are searching for or looking for, if you want to write, go to Google. I've written google.ie, but you can go to google.it, Vincent, or google.de for our Frankfurt friends, or google.co.uk for the non-EU friends here, and start typing in the search query. So if you're let's say I was doing some research a while ago on how to create trackable links. I started typing in how to create trackable links, and it gave me an idea of what people were searching for. And you can get creative. So I started with trackable links and then started building up the question around it to see what was giving me, and those suggestions that come up are ranked by Google in terms of number of search volume. So it can be quite a useful, basic but useful keyword search research tool. And if you want to do some basic competitor research to see if your competitor has done anything about that topic, has written anything, go to Google, type in site : your website, your competitor's website address, then followed by a space and followed by whatever you're searching for. And what that'll do is it'll search for that topic within your competitor's website. So what that'll show you is, okay, how are my competitors approaching this topic? And if they're not, you have that golden nugget that you can push out very quickly and then go hell for broke, putting out on social media and highlighting that you're an expert matter in something that your competitor isn't. But again, you can put your own slant on the article for your audience group and the competitor's audience group by doing a little bit of competitor research using that simple technique. And Q&A. So I'll open the floor to questions.
Hi, Amit. Thank you very much for that presentation. That's very useful, nice and short and compact. Okay, guys, if you'd like to unmute yourselves, you can open it to questions and answers.
Hiya, Oliver Reedy. How are you doing?
Hi, Oliver.
What I find now, I mean, as I said, I'm an IT tech support, and very often, in general conversation, there you'll have with clients, you'll find that a lot of them, their attitude to the internet is, My business, I don't need a website. I don't need a web presence. I mean, I have quite a few clients like that now. No, I don't. No, we're local, and you kind of say to them, well, you really should, you should have a web presence and you could get different. No, not interested. It seems to be an Irish thing rather than an American thing. Do you have any advice as far as that goes for people who say, I don't think a website would help me, or a web presence?
Yes, couple of things. One, subconsciously we make judgments every single second of the day.
Yes.
And I think you can probably count in one hand people that say, oh, if a business doesn't have a website, I don't judge them. And I would go so far to say that those people are probably being economical with the truth.
Right.
And people will judge a business in this day and age if it doesn't have a website. That's one. Second is that there's a branch of SEO dedicated to localization and targeting people within your geographical area, which is really effective when done properly, especially with the advent of mobile searching, because mobile, the very nature is that it's mobile. So you can very effectively target customers who are in your vicinity.
Yes.
There are multiple, especially in hospitality. If you do a search for restaurants near me, petrol stations near, the near me kind of searches, you can actually target those and rank for those and convert people who might just have walked past your business otherwise.
Yes.
And it can be a very effective tool. If you bring people to your website. And thirdly, it helps you grow your brand name and reach people that may not even know about you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Oliver. That's a good question. Thanks. Anybody else got a question there?
I do, yeah. Thank you very much for that interesting SEO brief speech on that. I find that the internet is divided into two categories of people. Effectively, those who are younger people use the social media and all that an awful lot more than older people. So let me tie into what Oliver's talking about there. Older people generally don't use the internet very much. They won't have their website. They'll probably just know how to use Gmail and that kind of carry on. So the internet really belongs to younger people from what I can make out anyway. And it's very difficult for older people to communicate with younger people, I find. Older people, they're living in a very traditional world, whereas younger people are living in what I would call a great imaginary world. A creative world, completely different to what we were reared and brought up in. All right. So is there any kind of platform or way of older people communicating with younger people, attracting them?
That is an interesting question that I haven't fully found the answer to myself either, John. Because I'm one of those being early 40s, I am one of the very last people who actually had a landline, access to a landline, or have to plan things and stuff where it wasn't, you could text somebody or whatever. And even I struggle with keeping up with what's happening out there with the the early 20s and the younger people. So that's something I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, you see, they break it down these days into Generation X, Generation Y, and then millennials and all that kind of carry on. Now, that's what you're marketing into.
Yeah.
And I find that with millennials, it's all about the experience.
Yeah.
They don't save. They don't put money away for the future or anything like that. And Generation X, or the young kids that are coming up, are stinking rich. Most of them, from what I can make out anyway. They seem to have it all,
John, does it not depend on who your target audience is? Like, is your target audience the Zeds?
But that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get it for an older person to target to reach a younger person.
But
we don't even speak the same language,
Yeah, no, but I guess I'm partly asking the question from the sense of, like, do you need to be talking to Gen Z if they're not your target audience?
Yeah.
So, like, are they part of the target audience, or are they not? Like, I would kind of go, Gen Z for me aren't particularly part of my audience at the moment. Maybe in another 10 years they might become so, but at the moment they're not. Do you know what I mean? So
I know where you're coming from, but we don't want to lose contact with them. So
No.
how do we reach to them? That's my point.
John,
I think the way you reach any audience is by connecting with people who can do it for you. So in other words, if I want to reach an audience and I identify that audience, I will actually hire someone to connect me with it.
And I was just going to say that, Nick, that I'm starting to work with somebody from that age group to appeal to business owners in their age group, because I can't connect with them. I personally, don't do Facebook or Twitter or that kind of myself, that is. And I'm very poor at it. Because
I think you need to think of it, John, as this. They speak a different language, and so do many other people from different countries. And we would hire an interpreter to deal with that if that's where we were. And I think you need to look at it. If Generation Z or whoever it is you want to target, you need to find someone who speaks their language. And then you feed them and they'll translate it into a language that works.
I did the same thing over here in Italy. Hired two guys, two Italians, who both play for, they're both in an Irish musical group over here, sell to the Irish pubs. Like, because I could do it, but these guys can do it twice as fast, Yeah.
No, I think that's good. Listen, can I suggest, Amit has been very, very kind to offer sort of some free consultancy to people. And so therefore, if they want to connect with you, Amit, if you probably have put your details in the group, just put it in again and let people talk. And this is what this network is all about. It's about people helping people. And what we want in these presentations, which Amit has done fantastically well, is a brief overview of a particular topic. And then for people who want to follow it up, they can do so. Is that okay?